Alright, well, we're live now, so
Fantastic.
there's that.
The orcs are really interesting. They're like the only monolatrous group, large-scale group in the games.
The orcs just want to be left in peace.
Basically.
Yeah, I think it is because they've had they haven't had their lands established as long as some of the other cultures in Tamriel.
I don't really think it's a matter of they haven't had their lands established. It's more a matter of everyone keeps treading over their land.
Yeah.
Because they just have a very hard time of getting everyone to be like, okay, you guys can leave us alone now. Please just leave us alone. Like, they've never...
I mean it this time.
I want to say that, I think it's the Pocket Guide to the Empire 3rd edition that talks about how, as of now, the Orcs of Orsinium are actually getting a push from they're getting a political push into the Empire to finally establish Hrothgar as its own province.
Yay!
No, it doesn't happen.
Because they honestly deserve it.
Yeah.
They do, but they don't get it, I don't think.
Hey,
Well, they haven't gotten it yet, is the thing.
What do you mean the Mead Empire?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'm not talking about any other empire. I'm talking about the one that kind of isn't the empire.
I gotcha.
That actually reminds me. I'm trying to remember who had said it, but I remember that like my first day entering the Dreamsleaf, someone had said, that that the Daggerfall Covenant is the closest you'll get to a representative democracy.
That was James.
Yeah, and as I read that, I just thought, wait, hang on. It is 100% not a representative democracy, though.
How so?
Because there is no representative section of this.
He's basing that off of like there's an in-game text. I think it was written by Emmerich, but I'm not sure. Where basically what he says, what we want to do is establish a council where every race has a seat on it.
What does Emmerich know?
Yeah, but let's be honest, this is also the Daggerfall Covenant that routinely misunderstands every single other race. And they also question why the orcs don't like them.
I'll admit, he made a good point about like the Ebonheart Pact basically being the Dunmerry Dominion. It's all moot anyway because Tiber Septim shows up and just has his way with the continent.
Yeah. Where did I pick up Ebon Thread?
Yes, but isn't that half the fun with knowing how ESO is going to end?
Michael!
Hey!
You snuck in on me, man.
I know those dulcet tones anywhere.
All right. Andrew Shrink. I think it... Oh, no, the door won't open. It's Ald Sotha, and it's got mayors and everything, and that's where his shrine is in Morrowind. I'm gonna try. Maybe I have to do something to get it to unlock. Surely the developers wouldn't have been this pathetic to not put it in.
Yeah, I don't know if you playing ESO?
I am.
I don't think Old Sotha is available.
It's in ESO.
There are several major spots in Morrowind that are not open.
There's also several major
you can't
spots in
go into
Morrowind
it.
that just aren't.
I was gonna say the exterior is present. I don't know about
yeah. I mean the interiors,
which really irritates me because
that's right. There are a ton of
shrine.
That's right. There are a ton of.
But why do they have a door?
To tease you.
Well, it worked.
Good. It better.
We had to pay a lot of people a lot of money to put that door that doesn't work.
Oh man.
Well, they're waiting for modders to do stuff like that.
I want a Mehrunes Dagon shrine. Just for completeness sake. I don't even like the guy.
Now, see, Mac. Here's the thing.
I want to have this Mora shrine.
Here's the thing. I could make a Mehrunes Dagon shrine. Unfortunately, I don't think Mehrunes Dagon would like it because I would have a statue of him picking his nose.
He probably wouldn't like it. I don't think he'd like any Khajiiti ones, since they would just be kittens.
It'd be
It would be
kittens.
six
adorable,
kittens.
adorable
What's
kittens
wrong with kittens?
playing with balls
With a
of
bunch of-
strings. Meditation balls.
Yes.
No, see, here's the thing. I think he's totally fine with it because one, he hasn't tried to smite the Khajiit yet, and two,
Well, I
think
mean,
about this. He can understand the abstract concept of a kitten.
Mm,
Like,
yeah, I don't know.
because the only people
Daedra are.
the whole kitten thing is literally just him and the Khajiit. So they all actively understand the abstract concept of a kitten. Meanwhile, everyone else just recognizes Mehrunes Dagon as Mehrunes Dagon.
Well, I mean, if we go with the idea that, you know, I think I said this in the chat, not the chat, on Facebook earlier. I think the Daedra are like, you know, there's the Daedra, and you could write that name as basically their name, all caps with no vowels or whatever. And each culture tends to worship or acknowledge a particular facet of. So for the Khajiit, they acknowledge Mehrunes, but they don't think too much about Mehrunes Dagon to Morrowind for natural disasters and stuff like that.
Yeah, they just think of him as the abstract concept of a kitten. Always destructive because that's in his nature.
I'll tell you what, though, Vivek has won me over. I'm a Vivek fan.
the city or the god?
Yes to both.
Okay. I like
Because
the
The
city.
city is boring.
The city is my
It's-
favorite place to do writs, and all my characters are there constantly.
Oh yeah,
City
for
is
sure.
boring. Go
Your
to
favorite
Alanor
place
if
to
you
be
wanna do-
rich? Is that what she said?
That's the place for writs because everything's all in the same place, and then you
No,
can
no.
turn
Here's the
everything
thing:
really
the
easy.
true speed
Oh,
run,
Ritz.
for Ritz
Yeah,
is in
Ritz.
Alanor.
No, because
No,
I don't like that you can't mount up. But then the mount trainer is also like on the other end, so I can usually
Yeah.
just put all my lobies, and then I cycle through them all every day to do all my writs, and then I also do
Oh, yeah.
their mount training.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
do
you
all
said
my,
it's my
I
favorite-
do all my crafting in Vivek.
Yeah,
I thought
But
you
then there's
said
the
it's
whole
my
thing of,
favorite
like,
place
if
to
you
be
don't
rich.
if you don't need to do mountain training, you can just put you can put maneuvers just on your bar when you go out to do crafting writs, activate it, and then sprint through the whole thing while having lazy writs active. God, I need.
well,
I
and
need to-
I also just want to be
again.
close to a mount trainer too, because a lot of the
Yeah.
they usually will. if
Yeah,
I make
as
a
I
new
said, like
character,
if you
I'll
don't
just
need to
train
do
there.
mount training, you won't really need.
Yeah.
All
That would be a nice thing, a nice assistant to be able to buy for your house.
Oh man,
Mount trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, mount train.
Hey, you know what else would be great? If you could train all your characters at once.
oh,
Can.
Yeah. What?
Or wait, no, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, I meant
For
like.
a
I
split second there, I thought that the points were across the account, but they're not.
no,
I
they're
think
not.
Final Fantasy
Well,
Online did this, but they had I want the ability to have your characters when you're offline, like sit in or just like stand in your house.
Yes.
Hmm.
Have you Morrowind nerds interpreted Vivek's door?
I have not.
I'm not
There's
more
just a bunch of carved
nerd, so I'm
panels.
sorry, I can't
What's
answer.
Morrowind?
My Vecchian lore is not that good.
What's Skyrim?
Jeez.
Who's far?
Vivek, I went back and Vivek said, "Did you notice I haven't moved Bardal yet?" It's like, no,
I love the casual conversation that he gives you when you just walk in.
Do you know what I can't wait for?
Hmm.
I can't wait for Elder Scrolls 6 to come out and everyone to hate it and talk about how Skyrim is the best Elder Scrolls game ever to exist, ever. Can't wait.
Oh God! Please don't remind me.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna laugh so hard.
I laugh. Ha 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 ha!
Todd
This
got
one
what he
will
wanted.
snicker to himself.
Watch Elder Scrolls 6 actually have actual RPG elements and not whatever Skyrim had.
Okay.
Say it, Michael.
A defense of Skyrim. So the trick with Skyrim, there's two things going on. One, let's talk the storytelling, is that the storytelling isn't obvious. It's like in Dark Souls, not in the sense that, you know, item descriptions, because we sadly don't have item descriptions.
Which
but
sucks.
like my personal favorite is that there is, where is it? It's outside of Riften. I think it's outside of Riften. You come upon a house that's been burned down. It's still burning. And you're like, what the heck happened here? And you think, well, maybe it was a dragon. You go in and you find a burned corpse, and they're holding a scroll of Summon Flame Atronach. And you're like, oh, I got it now. I see what happened. And that's the storytelling mode that they've been moving towards since Morrowind. Because you see stuff like that in Oblivion too. Not as much. They really went with it in Skyrim. That model of like figure it out yourself is also how RP happens in Skyrim. And it's less so in ESO, but I really think that what they are doing with their games is they're giving you the puzzle pieces, and then you as the player put them all together. So the guilds, the main quest, every side quest, everything is for you to figure out what's the story of your character and then go live it. Now, some people like me just like do everything. I don't do everything on one character, but I do a lot of stuff on one character because that's just how I am. I'm crazy.
I
but
do
not
all
everybody.
of it on one.
You know, like I'll usually have like a Thieves Guild character and I'll have a Dark Brotherhood character. Sometimes it's both. I'll do certain side quests with certain characters, but not with others. Like for instance, once I do the main quest, I have one character that does it. I never do it again.
Oh, yeah,
Usually. And same usually for big DLC. So like when I did Dragonborn, only my Dragonborn did the whole Mirak thing. Now I may go there and do the other side quests, but that's just a weird thing for me that I'm like, you know, this is my Dragonborn story. This is what happened to them. This is not what happened to my vampire mage thief. Something else happened with him. And my feeling is that that's the kind of storytelling they're moving towards. So the RP elements are there, but you have to do the work.
Yeah.
Now
the obvious problem here is when you have all these quests that are very blatant and obvious with what they're doing, and thus it distracts you from any sort of puzzle pieces.
Well, yeah.
So the puzzles no longer matter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you know, I'll give you an example. Like, it really makes sense to do the city quest for Falkreath, which leads you into the Hircine quest, and also to do along with that the Companions quest line. Those two fit together really well. It would not make as much sense to do the Volkihar quest line and then go do the Falkreath. What? No, you know that. Anyway, you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I do.
But you know, I mean, now granted, this is not the way that RP was done way back in the day. Like I'm thinking, well, I don't know if I want to go quite back as far as like the Bard's Tale. But like, you know,
What the hell's that, Michael?
Yeah, right. It's from the 80s. But you know, some of those really old RP where like a decision you made 20 hours ago comes back and affects your game. I mean, I think that's cool. But it's also frustrating. Like if you forgot to pick up one thing, it could completely wreck your game. And I think that's why they don't do that anymore.
That sounds awful.
Now
People
That's
don't
all
have that
being
kind of
said.
patience for games
Yeah,
anymore.
you did point out that ESO really doesn't do that much with the
It
whole
doesn't.
puzzle world building. But let's
Yeah.
think about this for a moment. The reason it doesn't do that is just because it's an MMO.
Yeah.
Trying to have something like that be a consistent thing could wind up being a problem for individual
Yes.
characters. It can lead to a
Yes.
lot of unresolved issues. Imagine if you take ESO, but you make it a single player game. At that point, I could 100% see them suddenly deciding, okay, time to start making all your decisions matter.
Yeah. But I think that the trick with ESO, and I've been playing ESO now for 2 or 3 years, I think.
Really?
Yeah, about 2 or 3 years.
You didn't
And I'm
beta?
oh no. I'm a console player, bro. I mean, I have it for PC, but I'm a
Breaking
console
my
guy.
heart, Michael.
I've always been a console guy. Always. I know, it's crazy.
Fortunate soul.
No, I'm actually this is probably a conversation for another time, but I am very happy as a console player. I've tried playing it on PC, and the pop-in is so horrendous that I'm like, man, I do not have these problems on my PS4. But I do have to say, I did play Skyrim. A friend got me Skyrim for PC, and man, that thing is beautiful. It runs fantastic.
I love modding Skyrim too.
So I plan on delving into some mods with that eventually.
Get Vigilant.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
anyway,
I'm only telling you to get Vigilant because it's hilarious in that it turns Skyrim into TES themed Dark Souls. Especially in chapter 4.
It's a really good mod.
Yeah,
but
all right, it's made by a Japanese.
What I was trying to say earlier was just that I've reached a point after playing ESO for 3 years that I'm starting to see how you could build a character story without doing like main quest stuff. Though doing the main quest with the Prophet does give you a ton of skill points, and you'd be stupid not to do that. But
yeah, I mean, I haven't done the main quest at all on my normal character.
Oh no, it's good. It's a good story.
I know. Like, that's the thing, I've played through the main quest before on a character that's since been deleted.
Oh, okay.
I ain't deleting anybody. I put too much work into this.
Yeah.
I delete some, but I usually can tell if I lose interest in a character before level 10, it's not.
See, that's the thing. Like, as a Khajiit, I'm not losing interest in this guy. Also, I'm not doing all this work again. I just refuse.
Well,
I mean, you might refuse.
Not until I've done everything else first.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing it while there's still new stuff to do.
Heck, you might refuse. Well, let's think about this for a moment. I am playing a character who's really just named Charndel II because I'm unimaginative with my Altmer characters. But I am 100% happy with just playing through the Ordinary Dominion again.
Oh, God.
It's a fun storyline.
Yeah, meanwhile, like, the Daggerfall Covenant, I can, as a general rule, like, I can make it to Stormhaven.
Yeah, Amanda.
But then after that, I just get really bored. And then with the fucking Ebonheart Pact, I can get past, like, Bleakrock Isle, but then I get really bored after that.
Oh, no, man. I love the Ebonheart Pact.
I started doing it too. It's really good. It's a lot darker than the other ones.
Oh.
Yeah, all the Morrowind stuff is good.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
Stonefalls is great, and one of the tricks of Stonefalls is Stonefalls looks magnificent.
It does.
I'm in Mournhold right now.
I've been playing it with Reshade, and I was taking a bunch of screenshots of Stonefalls.
All that lava.
Really nice.
Oh god, it's just gorgeous.
Oh yeah, I like the contrast of the lava with a lot of the. It's kind of almost monochromatic blue, especially at night.
Yeah.
And so you have that, and then you have like the stark, like glowing red lava that sort of contrasts with it. It's really nice.
Yeah.
See, that's the part that I'm not a huge fan of, except on Bardenfell.
Rhondaville's more lush than what Morrowind was in the game. Morrowind.
Oh,
Has a
really?
lot more
It was more.
contrast than Stonefalls, I think. Not contrast, just more variation.
Let's see, I gotta register my presence.
So, Michael, change the subject.
This one is here.
Have I don't know if you've seen the the thing that Mac and I have been working on a bit. So far, we're up to 7 pages of a lore essay.
Oh my!
And
That would make sense.
it's pretty awesome, if I do say so myself.
Okay.
So
Second.
There you go.
the whole point is that we're looking at we're trying to figure out the nature of the dreamer itself,
Okay.
rather than figure out why are we given the universe that we're given? Why is
Right.
this what we end up with? Tamriel with Vivek and Talos and all this stuff. Why is this where we end up?
Yeah.
And so after thinking about it, initially Todd and I were discussing
Probably smell money and daddy. Boom.
probably a month or so ago, and it was on a casual lorecast too. We thought, well, what if the dreamer is actually transgender?
Right.
And so we started thinking, we're like, I remember we're putting things together. Well, if Vivek is the self-insert of the dreamer who attains Kim, right, and thereby becomes the dreamer within the dream, then, well, Vivek is a gender fluid or non-binary character who's primarily male up until the wedding of Coda, where she becomes female. And so we thought, well, maybe that's when Anu accepts the fact that she is a woman, and she accepts this part of her identity, whereas everything prior to that is an interior struggle with this identity issue. She knows who she is, but she doesn't accept it because of outside influences or fear of change, or maybe she doesn't feel like other people will love her for all of this. And it's this long thought out thing, and Mac and I have been talking about this for a little while now.
3 or 4 days now, I think.
Yeah. And so it's like everywhere we look, there's something else that can be interpreted. Be like, oh, okay, that's something that can factor into this. That Anu is struggling with a trans identity. I thought you'd find that interesting.
I do find that interesting. I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah. So for a while, I wasn't sure that it's my headcanon on the nature of the dreamer, but I may be coming around. Because I mean it's a very interesting and everything fits too. I mean, we look at things like the Tribunal and what they mean, and the House of Troubles, and we even compare Talos to Vivek, both of whom are self-insert characters. One represents one thing while the other represents something else, but both are equally the dreamer.
Just the dreamer in different states of self-acceptance.
Yeah. So like Talos is this hyper masculine, almost an overcompensation.
Yeah, more Viking than Viking. Yeah.
Yeah. The dreamer's saying,
surely I must.
Man, damn it!
I was born a male, so I'm going to embrace my male personality and my identity, and that's what I'm going to do. And that's where we end up with Talos. But then Vivek, who's a little more to like a true idea of who Anu is as a person, goes, you know what? I don't think that's actually me. That's not being honest to myself. Which is interesting that Vivek is straddles the line between
Yeah.
lies and truth.
Ay, ay, ay.
That might take a little more exploring there, perhaps.
Sure.
Well, and I was thinking about this as well. We're dealing with the Freudian idea, and Freud's all about the base human drives are sex and aggression, or if you prefer, sex death, which Vivek and Mafala are all about.
And Mac made a really good point about how, so take Boethia and Almalexia. The Boethia initially in the series was presented as male, right? It's
right.
Kind of
Originally.
character. Yeah. That's a male character with a female triune. Almalexia. So Boethia, Almalexia. Almalexia is also a warrior, but also the healing mother. So a male-female dichotomy right there. Then we look at Sotha-Sil. We have Azura, who is predominantly female. And so
like female of females, like
yeah, she's the mother of the rose and the queen of dawn and dusk and all the vanity and all
beauty, and just keeps talking about beauty and all that.
Yeah. And then you have Sotha-Sil, who's very cold, calculating, masculine. That's almost a left brain, right brain sort of thing now that I think about it.
Yeah, but Sotha-Sil also views beauty just in a different way.
Sure, yeah.
But he's also he's the calmest of the three, which is a typically, mainstream idea for femininity.
Yeah. But then you end up with Vivek and Mafala, who are both kind of androgynous figures. Mafala kind of leans more towards the feminine. Vivek leans a little more towards the male. But they're both androgynous, and they're together. And so that's a really interesting thing. We've got this balance of male and female in the tribunal and their anticipations.
So another way of looking at the tribunal is to look at it as an alchemical trinity. And in this we can go really crazy deep with this, but the real basic idea of the alchemical trinity is that you have each character. You have three characters who represent one of the following: mind, body, or soul. And you see this trinity in a ton of literature. One of the really good versions is in the movie Reign of Fire, where Matthew McConaughey basically plays a guy who's more Viking than Viking, and he is definitely body. And in alchemical literature, usually one of the three dies or is sacrificed so that the other two can transcend whatever the threat is. In Reign of Fire, it's the body, which is classical mythology. The body needs to be sacrificed so the mind and the soul can ascend. But and so like in Star Wars, in the original Star Wars, you have this where Han is definitely the body, right? Leia is the mind. She's the one who has the plan, and Luke is the soul. He's the one who feels things. And so then apply that to the tribunal. And I think
body, Sotha-Sil, mind, Vivek, soul.
Yeah, that's how I would do it.
And the alchemical trio is an elemental thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. Definitely.
I know Sun and Moon are part of that.
I actually pulled out my Quadrivium book just now, and I'm on page that talks about 3.
Nice.
I'm actually.
Because
there's also usually a quarreling couple within the two. The two of the three quarrel with each other. Ron and Hermione are the part of the Trinity in the Harry Potter. That's Ron and Hermione, and usually the quarreling couple ends up together. So Han and Leia are the quarreling couple.
So then would they be Sotha-Sil and Almalexia? They do end up together in death.
And they
quarrel.
And they quarrel, and it's a death sex thing because she kills him.
Yeah. Well, and it's implied.
He may or may not have submitted to it.
It's implied in the sermons that they've engaged in amorous dalliance.
Yes, it's not implied. It's very obvious. He splits himself.
Wait,
into,
Sothasil and Almalexia?
Oh my God, yes. When they first show up in Mournhold, he has taken on like 8 or 9 bodies, and they're together.
Like
And
Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah. He's doing the Dr. Manhattan.
There's multiple layers of Syl.
Yeah.
Clearly, I've been missing some. I figured he would just be like, nah, I'd have to put my book down to do that. Like,
No.
You should read Sothasil and the Scribe.
Bear in mind, it is written by Vivek.
Yeah.
And I feel like Vivek is like the king of like smut fanfiction.
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
And it does get worse because he in the sermons, Sothasil and Almalexia are Vivek's parents.
Yes, I knew that part.
You know, when Sothasil releases a flood of homunculi, that's a specific image. Anyway,
tell me about this image, Michael.
Okay, so when mommy and daddy love each other very much.
Dear God. Mommy and daddy love each other very much. No,
when two gods really love each other.
But then and this is why, like, I kind of push back a lot on the tribunal for a lot of reasons, and this is one of them. Okay, cool. Okay, so he's their parents, but we also kind of know that there are shenanigans between the 3 of them, and I'm like, okay, the mom and dad thing is not cool, bro. I'm sorry, like, there are laws against this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
so
it just
gods aren't. But Michael, gods set the law; they don't obey it.
Well, it just goes to show how tortured and broken Vivek is,
which is part of the point.
Which is like the point of like the sermons.
I was talking about in our theory. Like,
oh yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to remember right now. So we know that Vivek is the Lord of the Middle Air, and Set is it like the
ocean, right?
The Lord of the deep ocean or something like that. What's Iam's thing? Vivek has air. Sothasil has water.
Realistically, it would probably be either fire or earth.
Earth, right?
Fire is what makes the most sense.
Well, all right. I say that because let's think about back to Glenumbra, and you had the 3 Elnophe, the 3 Earthbone Elnophe that you helped out, but none of them were fire, despite all being elemental. It was water, earth, and air.
Well, don't the Iliads like really look down on fire as like the least element kind of thing?
They look at it as a derivation of light. Yeah. Light is the actual element, which is kind of
so. Would she just be light then?
Maybe.
From their perspective,
but also Syl's name is literally light.
I would argue.
Really?
I would argue that light, if we were going to put it into an element, would be fire. Fire is light and energy given form.
No, because again, looking from the alien perspective, which may very well also be the Aldmer perspective, fire is just a deviation of light. Light is the actual element.
Guys. Johnny.
Fire, on the other hand, is a form of light. It's like how ice would be a deviation of water.
I need to find this thing. I'm sure Almalexia has been described in the same fashion.
Well, I mean, I would think she would be. Well, that's Magnus. Never mind. She's sort of the Akatosh kind of thing with them, isn't she?
Yeah, someone suggested there's a connection between her and Akatosh.
Yeah, there's
Healing Mother, Lady of Mercy, Mother Morrowind.
It was something about because she had tusks, like that she's the draconic figure.
Oh yeah, I can see
she's
that.
the snake-faced queen.
It's specifically Akatosh too, because it's like a draconic.
I thought it was face snaked.
It is. It's face snake.
Oh, did I?
Wait, but that doesn't make grammatical sense though.
Well, no, that's why I think I had it reversed, because I know it's backwards.
Are you saying
but then I knew the real thing, so I backwards that. I went too far. Yeah.
It's weird, and the first rule in semiotics, well, in my rules, is that if something's weird, it signifies something. So
what do you say that
Almalexia was never a chimer to begin with. She was always a sage. She tricked everyone.
I'm going to assert that Almalexia is
Can
fire.
you guys hear me?
Yes,
Fire.
yes, we can.
Yeah,
Yes,
we can hear you.
And my reasoning
I muted you
that
guys.
fire can be constructive and it can also be destructive. Healing Mother and Warrior.
Can you guys hear me? I can hear you.
Yes,
We can hear
Yeah,
you.
we can hear you.
Awesome. Well, nice to meet you guys. My name is Johnny. I
Hey,
posted
Johnny.
Hello.
twice on the thing. Nice to meet y'all.
Nice to meet you too.
Likewise.
Yeah. I don't have a
Johnny,
webcam.
you're
Yeah.
new. You're new with us. How long have you been in the group?
A few days, I think. 5
Okay.
days, maybe.
All right. So do you have any questions that you'd like to have answered?
Well, I don't know about questions, but the discussion you guys are already talking about is very related to something I'm working on, actually.
Okay.
Ooh.
So that's cool. We don't even need to change subjects or anything. So you guys might have seen my post, one of my 2 posts, but I'm planning on rewriting the annotated annuad from the perspective of a fiction author in-game that I'm gonna make. So,
Nice.
so I'm gonna heavily personify Anu and Padme, as well as Nur, to create like dialogue between them and drama and stuff, to make it more make it a little longer, less of like a myth story and more like still the same story, but as if they're people talking and stuff. And
Sounds more like a play, kind of.
yeah, play for sure. I guess so. I've never really done that, but yeah, I would. Maybe it'd be cool to bounce some ideas off you. I guess if you guys keen for that.
Yeah. Oh, we love bouncing
Sure.
ideas.
Cool.
Hit
Well,
us up.
I guess you guys are lore masters, so you're already familiar with the annotated annuad, I would imagine.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. It's been a while since I read it.
I would say
Same.
master is an arbitrary title.
Yeah. Well, familiar at least, I would say. So,
Yes.
yeah. So I guess, yeah, so everybody at least knows what it is and what it entails.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So,
Yes.
it's pretty simple, actually. Like, it goes pretty quickly, and I actually printed it out so that I can look at it and study it more like as if I'm the author in the thing, to make it a little more, I don't know, connectable. So,
Mhm.
I'll just read you the first three paragraphs, and then I'll tell you what I was thinking. So, the first ones were brothers, Anu and Padme. They came into the void, and time began. As Anu and Padme wandered the void, the interplay of light and darkness created Nur. Both Anu and Padme were amazed and delighted with her appearance, but she loved Anu, and Padme retreated from them in bitterness. Nur became pregnant, but before she gave birth, Padme returned, professing his love for Nur. She told him that she loved only Anu, and Padme beat her in rage. Anime returned, fought Padme, and cast him outside time. Nur gave birth to creation, but died from her injuries soon after. Anu, grieving, hid himself in the sun and slept. So yeah, that's the first few paragraphs. So this is what I had in mind. So first of all, it's all kind of crazy if you think about it. So from out of the void, Anu and Padme just came out of nowhere. I guess that's like a lot of religions and stuff. It just kind of, this started and then this happened. And then after like just Anu and Padme chilling in the void, Nur was made. So does it, from your guys' perspective, is Nur the daughter of them? Or what do you think there?
So the common thought is that the dreamer, the sleeping god within whose mind all of this occurs, Anu, Padme, and Nur are the Freudian or Jungian triad: the ego, the id, and the superego.
Okay.
And this is, I mean, I say this is the common interpretation, but this is what I have heard the most. And maybe that's just the company I keep. I don't know. And so the thought is that Anu is the superego, Padme is the id, and Nur is the ego. But I mean, there are ideas that maybe shuffle that around, and I mean they all kind of work to their own degree. But as I understand it, that's what makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I can see why you would go for daughter, because the interplay of light and darkness created Nur. Whereas in Freudian psychology, the ego, which would be Nur, is kind of an intermediary between the superego and the id, right? So the interplay between those two creates, or doesn't create per se, but it facilitates the necessity of the ego.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's where I go with that.
Yeah. I guess it's definitely a challenge no matter where you slice it with what I'm trying to do. But I was thinking of just kind of, even though I'm trying to make this more advanced, I was thinking about keeping that part kind of vague, because it's hard to really make it relatable, because two brothers can't make a baby the way humans are, at least, right? So,
although I mean, to argue that, I would say they're only brothers because the Anuad says they are.
Right.
At this kind of gradient, I don't know that they have genders at all. They are
at that kind of gradients. They are the concept that they embody.
Yeah, they are very vague, as you put it. They're they're these primordial forces of change and stasis.
Okay.
And so to apply gender to that, I mean, I know it says brothers. I'm looking at it here.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think siblings would be a better word to use, because they're intricately related. I mean, so we get into a lot of interpretive stuff here, because I would say that Anu and Padme are the same thing, or at least two sides of the same coin.
Like yin yang.
Kind of, yeah. Like one necessitates the other. You must have both. You can't have just one of them. And so in that way, they're siblings.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess another question on how I'm going to do this. So in the third paragraph, Nur becomes pregnant. So obviously, as we were already talking about, this is all kind of conceptual and symbolic. But the way I'm going to tell it, she's literally going to become pregnant, I guess. So would you say she became pregnant from one of them or both of them?
Interesting idea.
Because, so it's kind of hard to answer, but this is the way I'm thinking about telling the story. So, you know how Anu is more symbolic of order, and Padme is symbolic of chaos, right? That's kind of the way it's portrayed, I think. So, as we know, Nur loves Anu, because Anu, I don't know, I could see why she loves Anu, because Anu is like a beautiful order, like a cool, beautiful, symmetrical.
He's got his shit together. That's what it is.
Yeah, of course she loves her. But Padme is kind of the bad boy, right? And Padme is kind of unstable, chaotic, in that sense. So
interesting.
I was thinking of Padme forcing himself on Nur and Nur becoming pregnant, kind of from rape, I guess. Well, not kind of, definitely rape. And then before she gives birth, Padme returns and professes his love. I would say that his love was definitely strengthened after their
Union.
not lovemaking, but
Union.
Union.
Yeah.
Union's probably the best we could say there.
their union.
I see kind of a Dantes Montano thing going on here.
I don't know what that reference is. I'm kind of illiterate. Not illiterate, but
kind of Monte Cristo.
yeah. So yeah, that's what I was thinking of. So anyways,
Can I ask you something about before we go on? What are you interpreting Nur to be before she gives birth to creation? If Anu is order and Padme is chaos, what is Nur?
I would say, well, the potential for creation.
I like that. She's potential, fertility, stuff like that.
Yeah.
She might be
I
fertile.
like that.
Kind of like, yeah. Well, I kind of imagine her as being female because she gets pregnant, but
That's
definitely, yeah. So I'm just kind of thinking as Anu, like as a guy who has his shit together. He's respectable and everybody loves him. But Padme, by his nature, he's more chaotic. So they both are amazed and delighted with her appearance, and they both love her. But Padme can't really hold on to himself, so he acts on impulse and does what animals do when they get impulsive. They just kind of do their thing. And so Padme impregnates her. But Padme and Anu, they're siblings, so perhaps they hold a lot of the same DNA or a lot of the same potential for good and evil too, even though they're both symbolic of one of the two. Maybe they still have a bit of what the other one has too.
What if she made love to Anu and then was subsequently raped by Padme?
I could see that.
No one knows who the father is, and then since we're dealing with cosmic deified concepts, it may be both.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and yeah, because that would make sense because in the second paragraph, it already says that she loves Anu.
Mm-hmm.
So, if she loves him and he loves her, we can say that they may have done that for sure. So then, Padme retreated from them in bitterness, but maybe he comes back, does his thing, then Nur becomes pregnant. But before she gives birth, Padme returns, professing his love. But yeah, she could say she only loves him. That's pretty easy to do in the story anyways. And Padme beats her in rage, especially beating her after they have unionized. I don't know if that's a word in this sense. But after they union or whatever, and then Anu's like comes back and he's like, "What the hell, you fucking asshole!" And then, yeah, I don't know, fighting and casting him outside time. I don't know how I would personify that action. That's kind of tough.
So, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. Do you know what culture this creation myth applies to? Because that may adjust your interpretation a little bit.
No, I do not.
So, based on dev notes and things that were never actually released in game, the annotated Anuad was actually supposed to be the Bosmeri creation myth.
I did see that on the Imperial thing just now, actually.
Yeah. So, given that, this is actually the only creation myth that mentions that Anu hid in the sun and slept. And so there's an idea that a lot of that stuff could happen before the actual dream occurs. And so, I mean, I don't know if that modifies your interpretation at all. But
yeah, the whole concept of like that's what happened to Anu before the dream happens.
Yeah,
and in the dream we see how Anu tries to.
So what's
interpret all
being
this.
described before Anu hides in the sun and sleeps, that's a metaphor for what happened before the dream started.
Right, yeah, because, I mean, I'll admit, I've only really started getting interested and realizing how deep this lore goes in the past year.
Very far, my friend. It goes very, very far.
Yeah. Well, I've done some research heavily, and I guess Anu, it's accepted now that Anu is the godhead at this point because he reached a state above Chem, starts with an A, forget what it's called.
Amaranth is what you're looking for.
Yeah, so he achieved Amaranth and became the godhead, right?
Yep.
And
that's the prevailing theory.
and we have no idea who that was before him, or if there was one before him.
We were actually talking about that a little bit ago before you hopped on. There are some theories, but I don't want to derail from what you're doing right now.
I guess it doesn't really matter in this context. but yeah, very interesting stuff. So I thought you were gonna go into like a real religion from Earth that.
No. I found that while there are bits of real religions, specifically occultism and Crowley philosophy and Hinduism, a lot of those things kind of make their way into Elder Scrolls lore. But to make one-to-one comparisons with real world religions and Elder Scrolls lore, it's a non-starter. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. Something else I wanted to point out though is have you read any of the other creation myths from other cultures?
No, I haven't done.
Because the words of Clan Mother Anissi.
Oh yeah, best.
That tells the same story, but the details are different, and so it seems to combine Nur into both Anu and Padme. So we get Anur and Fatome, and they are engaging in, they're getting laid or whatever with each other.
They have children.
Yeah. They are that couple.
And Nurni is one of their children.
Yeah. So it's and then there's the Yokuden creation myth where you have Satak and Akel, and they are snakes or something like that. The Yokuden stuff gets real weird for me.
Yeah, but they also have Tall Papa, and that's why I think we should probably take a step away from the Yokuden tradition, creation myth, because if we are to believe that the Yokudens came from the previous dream, the dream Anu is from, then it is likely their creation myth is 100% not related to the creation myth of them.
Although
honestly, Words of Clay Mother Anissi is probably the most similar to the Anuads since Khajiiti and Bosmeri culture. I mean, if you're looking for two cultures that are that have the most similarities while still being different, I would put them in a pretty good category.
Well, and then you've also got the Children of the Root from the Argonians.
And the monomyth.
And that's and the monomyth. Yeah, the monomyth, at least in ESO, it really breaks down all the different creation myths
which I really appreciate how they put it in separate books.
And then Varieties of Faith kind of does a similar sort of thing. But I mean, what you're definitely going to want to do for your mod, I would read all of that. It's like lore is a lot of reading. There's a lot of information process.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to do, and I still haven't read
Which
code.
I love. I'm really into this stuff.
Like I'm an English major, so like that's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that kind of comes pretty easy to me, but I know a lot of based on how much reading there is, it can be really daunting and kind of intimidating.
Fair enough.
But it's definitely a good idea to read those, so at least you're versed with the idea of what other cultures think happened, and that may help you with your mod. So I mean, that's a suggestion that I would have for you. And I mean, if you want, you can PM me on Facebook, and I'll hook you up with some links.
For sure.
To make that a little easier for you.
First of all, I guess we should have done this before. So my name is Johnny. What is the white? What would you like to be called? The White?
Well, I'm the White Guar.
The White Guar.
That's what I'm known as here on Reddit. I'm a moderator of the Elder Scrolls Lore subreddit.
Nice.
I'm also in the Selectives Lorecast with Michael over here, which is a podcast we do every couple of weeks about the deeper concepts of lore. But my name's Andrew. You can call me Andrew. You can call me Guar. I don't really care. So as long as I know you're talking to me, call me whatever you want. I've been called Sperm Scales at one point, and I'm okay with that too. So
yeah, right on. And I guess the woman I hear sometimes, that must be Belle.
Yeah, it's me. I'm
Nice.
the ambiguous concept that exists in some of the Elder Scrolls communities.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm pretty illiterate sometimes. I forget what ambiguous means, but nice to meet you.
I'm just a lurker. And nice to meet you too.
Right on. We're all lurkers sometimes. And
I
then
used a little bit of everything. I dabble in every single thing.
she really does.
Yeah.
Nice. A little about myself, I guess. I've been modding with this kind of stuff since Oblivion in 2008, I think, or 2007. Just with the kit. Like first thing I made was a Garbin race for Oblivion, like a goblin kind of thing. And then I've released quite a few mods on Skyrim for like PlayStation and Xbox and stuff. So I have a little bit of experience with modding, so the modding will be the easiest part, but I haven't really tackled creative writing since like high school, and that was like 7 years ago, so kind of a challenge, but it's fun. I really am good at reading stuff and getting into stuff and writing stuff when I'm interested in it, and this is definitely like a newfound love, all this lore stuff, because like I said, I had no idea it went this deep. So
it never runs out either. Because I've been in the Elder Scrolls community. I've enjoyed the Elder Scrolls since I was 14, and I'm 29 now, and there's still things that I am still learning about.
yeah,
And I've only briefly fallen out of it, but there's always stuff to discover.
yeah, definitely. And I guess we have a lot of this to thank to Michael Kirkbride, I've realized. Just kind of found out about him like
maybe
a couple weeks ago.
A few of us know him.
Yeah. Like
Oh.
personally?
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
I've yet to meet him. I have a feeling that if I ever do meet him, it'll be
I've never had a one-on-one conversation with the man, but I mean, we exchange comments on Facebook, and
Is there disagreements at play? Drama?
Yeah.
And the like?
we don't really talk about Elder Scrolls a whole lot. Usually, I'm commenting on his kick-ass Warhammer 40k painting.
Yeah, for real, right?
Yeah, dude, that shit's sick.
Yes.
He has amazing work.
That's one subject I've never got into yet.
He,
well,
Michael
if you want to
has-
get into it, first take $1,000 in cash out of your bank account and just light it on fire.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, Daria
MK.
just tells me about how little space they have because of all everything in their house is dedicated to like 40k books and
Yeah, well, I guess Daria, she reorganized it all.
I saw that. I was like, oh
God
my
bless
God.
her. Yeah, I want to kidnap their dog. Well, I
Oh, I
want
love
to
Gumbo.
I want to babysit their dog. I want to fly
Yeah.
3,000 miles so I can pet him and give him a kiss on the head and tell him what a good dog he is.
It used to be easier to like hang out and stuff like that. I used to live in Houston and I would occasionally commute to New Orleans and that was not fun. But it was nice having people around.
My favorite Gumbo story, according to I believe it was Michael who told the story, was that they were standing outside during the filming of a CSI New Orleans episode, and Gumbo could have been in the episode, but instead he decided to urinate on the porch. That was more important than the episode, and I thought it's so Gumbo.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was thinking.
Gumbo, you're the star. Do something, and then that's what he does.
Yeah, I just love Gumbo.
oh, sweet
So
Jesus!
cute.
I'm on Oregon right now, and someone had said that a good way to get people to join your guild is to advertise your guild in racial starting zones, because in most of those places, people don't have their guild lists yet. Someone said that's racist, and then another person said, "Where my
Art
cat's
on
at?"
chat is cancer.
It's cancer.
It really is. I love it. Sometimes I'll just go, like, if I don't have anything to do, I'll just go sit by that one dolmen in Ardon and just, like, watch the chat for hours.
Yeah, I'm just looking at these different, like you said, I should check out all these different books talking about the same kind of thing, the annotated annuad, and they're very interesting. But I think that the annotated annuad is a good one to base this.
It actually is. The Annoad is kind of the, I hesitate to say the gold standard. It's kind of the default that everyone falls to when talking about the creation myth of the universe in the Elder Scrolls.
It does a good job.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice, comprehensive, well explained text. But I mean, yeah, it definitely requires some other insights to really put the whole puzzle together. Because what you get here is like half the puzzle. There's so much more going on, and it's all metaphorical and metaphysical. And
then some of them aren't metaphorical, like understanding that one of the pieces of the puzzle is Alduin calling Marin's Dagon a stupid little fucker.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't call that a creation myth though, because that's
it's the creation of Marin's Dagon from the Leaper Demon King.
Well, yeah, but that's, I mean, we're talking creation.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's definitely a myth of the creation of Marin's Dagon, and I would say because it's the only one, I would say it is accurate because there's no alternative.
Wait a minute, don't the Mysterium Xerxes have a little bit on where Dagon came from?
It talks about how doesn't say how the grabbers imbued their precious resource of hope into the razor or something like that.
I'm thinking of like there's a line or something, a little paragraph that talks about how like he learned his lesson from the upstart and hope became his brush fire, and you know the captives took chains to their teeth and like all that. It's weird. Like it sounded like Lig stuff to me, but I've only read them.
Yeah. Commentaries and Mysterium Xerxes. If it has to do with Magna Gi or Marin's Dagon, it's Lig stuff. Or Molag Bal. Molag Bal too.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question. Well, not a question. Something to bounce off you guys. With, you know how I was talking about Padme, forcing himself upon Nur?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know how the Daedra come from the blood of Padme, and the Aedra come from the blood of Anu and Padme? Well...
Propaganda. That's propaganda.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking... you know how Molag Bal is the god
King of rape.
King of rape and domination?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it might be kind of cool to have, in the story, have Padme show different parts where he kind of shows himself as symbolic of those people. So I guess when he does the rape thing, he'll kind of personify Molag Bal in a sense. And then...
Well, you could think of it as children take after their parents, and if Molag Bal is only from Padme, maybe that's the trait that he inherited.
Yeah, something like that. So I guess I need to study up on the Daedra as well as the Aedra before I really get going on this.
I will tell you that the distinction is largely arbitrary, but for one choice. And that is whether they want to contribute to Mundus or not.
Yeah. If they contributed to the creation of Mundus, they're an Aedra. If they didn't, they're a Daedra. In that light, technically, Lorcan is a Daedra.
And Talos.
Yeah.
Talos is a Daedra, and that's why you shouldn't worship him, because it's Daedra worship, and we all know how that turns out.
Yeah.
Tamriel by Daedroth.
Personally, I think that Lorcan is kind of a gray area between Aedra and Daedra, because while he did submit himself to the creation of Mundus, he lost his heart for it after all.
Yeah.
He was, in a way, expelled from it.
Yeah, I would say that in the case of Lorcan, it was more that he did not choose to take part in the creation of Mundus. He gave the idea. He did not choose to sacrifice anything for Mundus. It was forced out of him.
Yeah.
Actually, he chose to sacrifice others.
It is the heart of the world, for one was made to satisfy the other.
He was like, "Hey, Magnus."
His heart was turned into the heart of the world, but it wasn't really by his choice. It was because Arya was pissed at him.
So he was always the heart of the world.
Yeah.
What do you think his motive for creating Nirn is?
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
But that's a sticky question right there.
Yeah.
That's a very. If we go by the Mysterium Xarxes and we go by what Marin's Dagon says, he wanted to create Nirn so he could have his own plane of oblivion that was far beyond any of the others.
Okay, so a selfish reason then.
Depends on who you ask.
Depends.
Different cultures are going to give you different answers to that.
Yeah, if
I
you
haven't
ask
read
me,
the
he was a selfish piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's because you're an Altmer.
Yeah, and am I wrong?
Fair enough.
Yes.
One of the more interesting version comes from the out of game book Beck's Teaching, which you can find on the Imperial Library, and that's the one where Vivek says that Lorcan failed so that we wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
And the way I read it, he says that he failed to achieve Chim, but it seems to me that to do what he did, Lorcan achieved Chim, but that the plan was to achieve Amaranth, and he purposely failed at that, believing that the Mundus would eventually produce an Amaranth that could go beyond the limited scope of the Arbus.
Which
If I
is
could
a
pause
little
that real
selfless
quick.
in that regard.
Andrew.
Oh.
Doesn't that just work so well for our theory? The id sacrificing itself to make sure that this dream of self-acceptance does come true. Doing whatever's necessary to ensure it.
Would the id want that, though? The id is instinct and I mean, unless it was a willing choice by the dreamer to sacrifice instinct. No, I am ignoring my gut feeling, and I am doing what I know I need to do.
But the id's also rebellion against superego. And so this is sort of a really weird, twisted way of rebelling, like, while looking like I'm losing.
Perhaps. Merits more discussion, I think, but we'll get to that later.
Have you guys read the I know I posted it in a Telmora, but it's called The Final Message, and it was basically me retelling everything that happens previously to the convention and afterwards. And instead of Magnus being tricked, I changed it to Lorcan and Magnus sort of had their own dream, and Lorcan's heart was in it, Magnus's mind was in it, and when Lorcan was found out to be a traitor, and all of that happened, Magnus was faced with the reality of should I side with him, should I defend him, or should I not disappoint all of my students and my peers and all of that.
What did you say the title was, though?
The Final Message. I think that's Final Message. So it's supposed to be like a translated transmission, right before Magnus basically makes a sacrifice. So I think I also kind of had like a moment where he looks at the Magnagi and just kind of decides that, I can't really tell them the truth because it seemed like I would be betraying them, because Magnus actually did want to go along with Lorcan's plan, And then, so basically the Mundus is unfinished. There's no way that it can really carry on. But Lorcan whenever Lorcan's being tried and his heart's being shot out and all of that, Magnus, when he's fleeing and like the other, well, not when he's fleeing, but when the other Magnagi are fleeing, he decides that there's one crucial flaw that would keep the Mundus from continuing, and that was because it needed sunlight, and so he basically broke his body through the night sky so that he could, or through oblivion, so that it could survive with that. Like, because the sun is two things. It's like we need the sun because, well, we need it to survive, but in the Arbis or in Mundus, the sun is also magic, which is imagination, which is continuity. That's just that presence being in the Mundus. And magic is also sort of just like, it's kind of like a salve to the imperfect world, because it is just pure imagination. It's anything you can make of it. And it's one of the reasons why the Elder Scrolls can exist, is because we also have the convenience of magic in storytelling. And I also like the idea that eventually magic will disappear entirely in the Mundus, but no one will really know that it's gone. But yeah, that was kind of like my interpretation of it. Was
Yeah.
And there's also
is Magnus regretful as he flees? Like, I have to make sure the project works, but I wish I could be a part of it.
Yeah, and it's mostly because it's like there's regrets that he didn't defend Lorcan, but also if he didn't defend Lorcan, he would have had the same fate, and the continuity of Mundus wouldn't have continued. It wouldn't have been built. There would be no sense of structure to it. And then that's just kind of like afterwards, the quote unquote Aedra, they just see this as like, well, look at this mess. Well, we'll take care of it, you know. And then they just kind of accept that they have a sense of empathy towards this creation, even if they see it as imperfect. But more so, Magnus is just like, I kind of see, I don't see him as fleeing the world. Maybe the Magnagi, yeah, they probably did flee because they didn't know the full story of it. But I see Magnus as making more of a sacrifice.
Yeah, definitely bring some love into it. He cares.
Yeah. Well, also, one of the things that I didn't add because it was kind of a shared idea that I had with a friend, but one of the reasons we saw Lorcan deciding to make the world is because at the end of the world, he discovered Mara, which is Amaranth, and decided to bring her into the world as well. Like, she just kind of was this entity and whatever. And so I think it was just one day we just kind of looked at the word Amaranth and we were like, oh, Mara's in that. So we just kind of went along with that.
Definitely bring some insight to the table for sure. I'm learning a lot.
So I actually have, give me a minute to find it. There is a quote from MK about Magnus. I gotta find it though. Give me a minute.
I also made a Magnus cult in the Elder Scrolls that is also stonemason. So yes, I did make the Illuminati.
Oh, god damn it.
Alright, well, somebody had to, right?
Oh, I love the Illuminati.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? The Illuminati doesn't exist.
No.
Illuminati all through my body.
By the way, have I told you guys about the really weird thing I discovered because I read a book about jewelry smithing in ESO?
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about, but go on.
So, a weird thing that I discovered is that the Altmer are one of the few races who have a mutual respect for one another.
What? Wait, repeat that?
The Altmer, compared to quite a few of the other races, seem to be one of the few races where, at a cultural level, the rich and the poor actually having mutual respect for each other.
Yeah.
In a weird way, yeah. In a
Yeah,
weird way.
it's really weird, and it mostly has to do with how they view their family lines. Because there's
It's
a lot
also
of
because there's no differentiation tolerated. Everybody has to fit into this one mold.
what?
Everything's so uniform in there. There's nothing to dislike. They're just like us. They just live in a less grid house.
It's kind of like ethno-nationalism. They're kind of looking out
Exactly.
because of their own history, and they. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not that they like each other because they're all Altmer. It's
I don't think they like each other. I don't think they like anything.
No, here's the thing: they specifically like each other and have a respect for each other when when you are also carrying on your family's tradition. Like that's the thing. The jewelry book that I read specifically said even a kin lord would speak highly of a fisherman if he does his job right.
Yeah, because there's no deviation.
That's kind of that makes them even kind of more like Nazis because, sure, well, in the sense that everybody thinks of Nazis because they're ethno-nationalists, but you got to be a Nazi too, or else you're not really. In their favor, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, so this is a thing from MK that he did in an IRC chat, and it goes like this: Tamriel, Starry Heart. The whole effing thing is a song. It was made either out of 12 planets or from two brothers that split in the womb. Either way, it's the primal whale, and those that grew up on it, they can't help but hear it and add to it and try to control it or run from it. The reason there is music on Tamriel at all is because it exists. It was and is, and it will not stop. There are repeats in it, plays on a tune, variations, and most likely Magnus. He's the one that made the effort.
Okay, yeah.
And now that's why he looks back on it every single day. That's his promise. When you wake up, I will still listen. I'm sorry I left, but hey, I'm still right up here. And my Namoli, they show up every now and then and collect all the songs you've made since the last time around, the last real moment. The Namoli, they're the keepers of the Elder Scrolls. They cannot be fixed until seen, and they cannot be seen until a moment. And you, your hero, makes that moment.
I think that was a lot of my inspiration came from was mainly that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
It is.
I'm going to copy that and put that in the Facebook chat.
Oh, another funny thing from that jewelry smithing book is discovering that no, Altmer don't actually keep secrets when it comes to their craft. Like if you ask an Altmer about their craft, they're not going to keep secrets from you. It's just really, really, really difficult to find an Altmer who isn't going to go on for hours about some technique their great-great-granduncle made. Which is hilarious to me.
I also think there's
someone probably wouldn't shut up about that. So that they probably grow up knowing all of the stories of their ancestors by memory, just because it's probably
not just by memory. Say you're born to a family of jewelry smiths and you learn the trade right off the bat. The moment you stop being an apprentice, you're a better jeweler than most jewelers in Tamriel, because it's not just your own personal skill; it is the skill of all your ancestors combined in your training.
They have if you're an Altmer and you're born if you're born into a family and they're, let's say, fishermen, and you don't have a passion for being a fisherman, you might as well be a Hulkin, basically.
A what?
Hulkins are the they introduced that in ESO. It's someone who is cast out because they're kind of imperfect in a way.
Oh, Apraxis.
Yeah, Apraxis.
Apraxis, yeah.
That being said, even if you are Apraxis, I have this distinct feeling that you could still get Altmer to respect you if you begin a new tradition.
Oh yeah, of course.
Is Andrew?
But you're on thin ice.
So I made a comment on TES Lore about this. Someone was asking about all the cultural lore that was presented in the Somerset expansion, and I talked about the Apraxis at length, and I compared them to the Untouchables of Indian culture and the Barakumin of Japanese culture, but cranked up to 11. Because once you are an Apraxis, you are shunned from society. We don't know you. You're not part of our family. You could die and we won't weep. Like that's.
All right. How about this? The person who is actually shunned is probably never going to get respect or recognition ever again. But I have the feeling their descendants would, because their descendants are not them.
Perhaps.
I mean, I think are carrying on a new tradition.
There's going to be a level of respect because every Altmer thinks every other Altmer is a descendant of the gods. So, if nothing else, there's respect for who your ancestors were.
Well, but here's the thing. Like, it seems to me that it would become a combat of how much do we hate the Apraxis? How much do we shun them versus how much do we value these new techniques or traditions or whatever. Like,
yeah, because the Altmer may be traditional. The Altmer may be traditional, but it has been stated in the past that they're not completely against change. They're not
just radically slowly.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, it's radically slowly. It would take like 300 years. It would take a whole Altmer lifetime. We view that as being radically slowly because we live around like 75 years. But for an Altmer, it would basically be the equivalent of, oh yeah, my grandfather never knew this, but my dad started getting into this, and now I'm doing it.
The reason I say it's radically slowly is because even relative to the other elven races, they seem to look on change more negatively.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then again, we could go back to a few
annoyed.
Lorecasts ago when we talked about what each race represents, at which point you can see why the Altmer look on change. Maybe not with anger, but with like a bit of timidity,
distrust.
Yeah, distrust and timidity. Just because we talked about the concept that the Altmer may represent the concept of flexible traditionalism.
I mean, it makes sense. It's like
they're the original family.
Yeah,
if you have
the original family can change, it just doesn't change quickly.
If you have people that fill roles and it's worked for the society for years and years and years, it's like, you know that you're always going to have that role filled, depending on what family takes care of that or what family has this profession. It's like, it just ensures that the future remains the same. And that's kind of what the Altmer are all about. And that's why they shun out Apraxis, because it's like, once you become an Apraxis, it kind of seems like you're also dooming the rest of your family and people who come before you or come after you. Because it's like, well, I'm sure if someone was born to an Apraxis, they might have more of a chance to do something as long as they can prove their usefulness.
Provided they're not Apraxis as well.
Yeah,
but
because as much as traditional as the Altmer can be, they don't ever really seem to carry the concept of sins of the father.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, if you are born to someone who is an Apraxis, then it's like, well, where are you going to get your apprenticeship? What are you going to learn?
Although here's the thing: who would jump in bed with an Apraxis?
Degenerates.
All right. Well, let's think about this for a moment. Let's take that fisherman idea, and you have the one child who doesn't want to be a fisherman. They become Apraxis. They decide, I don't want to be a fisherman. I want to be a mercenary. I want to prove that I can be an elegant mercenary. So they work their whole life. They hone their skill at being a mercenary. They hone their skill with, let's say, axe combat. Because if we're going to go strange, let's be as strange as possible. Axe combat. And they have a child. And they start teaching the child what they learned. And that child goes on to go back to Somerset and say, hey, look at these techniques that I know. And he shows that the techniques work. He shows
what
that
if there was like another family that had some kind of axe proficiency, but they had passed it down for millennias and millennias?
Yes.
The Altmer would look at that family and be like, well, they have more experience than you. Bye. It didn't matter how much they could prove themselves. They would value like whoever had more experience, because that's the whole reason why they don't like things such as Apraxis is because it breaks the chain of experience and traditionality and like basically passing down, honing something for the years and
Though at
years
the same
and years
time,
and years
with
that the Altmer exists.
yeah, though at the same time with just how skilled Altmer are with things that they're good at,
But I mean, I wouldn't say it's completely
you kind of
against
see
the
why.
culture.
You really can see why that can become a problem.
Yeah.
Just because then suddenly you break the chain.
It's very flawed. But
It's
they don't
very
care.
flawed. But then think about this. You have someone who's Apraxis, they have a kid, they never learned how to be like a jewelry smith, and the kid's like, I want to be a jewelry smith. Unfortunately, the guy's parents are dead. So you have now robbed that child of learning from some great line of jewelry smiths.
So go to another one.
Yeah.
You probably
Well, no,
would. It's just never going to be as great.
That's just how it is.
It's never going to have as much of a personal connection.
Well, there's probably a sapiarch of metallurgy or something.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, they've got one for indoctrination, which is just really terrifying. Like, this dude has devoted his entire life to this is how you indoctrinate people.
Yeah. Here's the better question, though, Mac. How many people actually care about him? All right, let's think about this. Do people actually use them for indoctrination, or do people use them for the philosophical concept of indoctrination? Like to understand how indoctrination
works. As of the Altmer
works.
Dominion, I think they definitely use him. I don't know how much use he got before then.
Because the thing is, I feel like prior to the third Altmer Dominion, that role didn't get much use, and it was more use of being able to, he is there to show how indoctrination works, to warn others of how to avoid indoctrination.
I think he also plays a role in making sure people stay in line.
Well, maybe.
But again, I have a very negative, and that's the thing. I have a very negative view of the Altmer. You have a very positive view of them. So we're going to hit and miss on a lot of things.
Yeah, unfortunately. But then we also have we both have a positive view of the Khajiit, so I think it's a net gain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Altmer, as much as I love the aliens. They did nothing wrong.
What?
Excuse me.
I think I did like a hashtag not all aliens thing in the group the other day.
Oh, I remember that.
Excuse me.
Did you guys see
Lorian
that?
Dinar.
That made me laugh.
No, I mean, Lorian Dinar sacrificed himself to save Nern.
So what?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he probably made flesh sculptures too.
No, I don't think Dinar did not because he was a married Nunda dude. But
Meridian is a terrible deity I've found in the
not all the aliens were bad. Some of them were actually supportive of the
rebellion.
The rebellion.
They got killed too, though. So
there's the problem. But that's the thing. Is like the aliens got their ass kicked, and they're like, okay, we give up. We'll live with you guys peacefully.
And then they got genocide.
And then Hellenil
to be fair, why would they want to live with the aliens? Like, okay, look, we're so sorry that we allowed some of us to torture.
All of them were bad.
I know, but nevertheless, like, I get the humans like, oh hell no, all of you out.
I mean, yeah, it does make sense, but the thing is, they did say, "Oh, hell no, all of you out." But then they came through and like literally chased down all the aliens that had left the province of Cyrodiil and massacred them too. So,
don't get me wrong, I am not a Pelennor fan. He slaughtered hordes.
I love Pelennor, but he's deeply problematic.
Well, as are all good.
I love the idea of his character.
Well, I mean,
he's the worst cyborg.
He's a gay robot with a lightsaber for a hand. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah,
Michael, he's an Imperial ghost. You talk to him in Oblivion.
No, that's how he manifests. Anyway,
nope.
You said
why would the gay robot?
You asked me why Alessia would accept the aliens. There's a book about that.
Who asked you that?
I can't remember what it's called, but it does talk, and it talks about how you end up with the 8 divines. Because
was it the one Maury House wrote, or
I can't remember.
Yeah, I
can't remember. It was in the Knights of the Nine.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe look through that.
But yeah, most of the gods, they're compromised, but they lean toward the elves, I think.
I think the
to be
elves think that they
fair-
lean toward the elves.
To be fair, though we have the Altmer who say we're descended directly from the gods, technically they're right because everyone's descended from the gods. It's just dependent on how far descended are you from the gods.
It's also like very
Hey, you guys, sorry I've been silent for a little bit, but I was researching a little bit of stuff. I want to see your response to the name of the book that I'm thinking. So, I was thinking of calling it Primordial Passion, a dramatic
Ooh.
retelling of the Annotated Annuad
I like
by,
it.
by Jonar Christo. He is my Nord guy I'm going to be making based on me. Because I guess I'm more of a Nord than any other kind of race in the Elder Scrolls. But yeah, what do you think? The Primordial Passion.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like alliteration in titles. I really like that.
Yeah, I was thinking the Primordial Passion, but nah, it sounds a little wordy. And then I was having a lot of hard time wondering if I should even include a dramatic retelling of the Annotated Annuad.
You could just make it a subtitle if you wanted.
Yeah, guess so. And then, yeah, I haven't really got too far at all, but I worded it like this so far. In the beginning there was the void, and time was soon to follow. Within this great span of emptiness came two primordial beings, who came to be Anu and Padme. That is all I have so far, but it's a
Hope you don't
start.
have your camera on.
Something. Did you guys know, which you probably did, but, well, you know how Michael Kirkbride is a big Star Wars fan? I guess Anu is like Annie, Anakin, Padme is like Padme.
Where'd you hear that?
Somewhere on the wide web. And then
Or-
Lorcan could be like Luke, but I don't know, that's kind of a stretch.
I'm gonna check his Facebook real quick.
Yeah. Someone told me he's a big Star Wars fan, so that would make sense.
I know he's a hardcore Warhammer fan.
Yeah.
Maybe back then.
I don't know, did the prequels come out before Morrowind?
Morrowind came out in 2002.
So
Right.
it came out before the third one. The third prequel.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace. When was that?
01, I think.
Well, if I go in that
Oh,
way.
99. Wow.
Oh, okay.
So 3 years since then. I could see it. Annie and Padme. Padme just sounds just like Padme. I thought that was common knowledge up in here. Not that I know it's true, but common theory. Oh yeah, and another good thing about this whole thing is this is like a fiction story inspired by their origins. So even if it's not all accurate, that's fine. It's just meant to be kind of enjoyable because the character that
Nothing's accurate in TES.
I was gonna say, like, if you want to just play it super safe, you can just say this is what one person in the Elder Scrolls universe thinks, and by that, and you can just caveat it that way.
but
Sometimes
even
it's fun too to just write something that's just completely wrong, but write it good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good fun.
and in this sense, this author is going to be a fiction author
Okay.
within the game, so he's just having fun with it.
He does have Star Wars liked, so
Yeah.
You see,
It's
Matt,
possible.
I, as one person in the lore community, fully believe that the Khajiits probably abuse the hell out of all fake telepathy.
I like to think that the Alfiq are hiding and masquerading as house cats, and they're like specifically I'm talking about post Great War, and that they fuck up the justiciars in like Breville and Leowin, places like that.
Oh, definitely. They're All the house cats that you meet in ESO are spies for the main.
Yep.
I love it.
Awesome.
Michael, just
Yeah.
out of curiosity, which main did you pick? Did you pick the warrior one or the mage?
Mage.
Okay,
Oh,
good. That's the one I
mage.
picked. Mage,
Always
definitely.
mage over brains over bronze. You kidding?
Yep.
See, all right. Here's the thing. Here's my argument for Kali.
Is
Like choosing the warrior over the mage.
Shazah was the mage, right?
Yeah, choosing Kali over Shazah. Shazah, I felt, had a very strong argument for why she should stay behind to hold back the Dark Main, because she did 100% know what she had to do. Kali tried to say she doesn't have the will to do it, but that wasn't really a factor here. Kali, on the other hand, she can still learn. She can still learn to be a good leader. And I do believe Akuzri will do a very good job at teaching her how to be a good leader. Thing is, she's already strong and a brilliant tactician. I'm not sure if Akuzri would actually be able to teach her be able to teach Shazah how to be an incredible tactician. Because even
forgot
Kali,
that, dude. It's game mechanics. Why are you walking around Valenwood when Molag Bal is destroying the world? Because I know he won't get to it until I show up.
What if, like, what if you just become the sentient prisoner and you just tell someone that? Like, he's
Oh,
not gonna
God,
do it
yeah.
until I show up.
no,
Yeah.
even worse, you're the sentient prisoner who played on another character. Therefore, just to fuck with someone, you tell them something, and then you start reading, and then you start speaking word for word exactly what they're saying just to freak them out.
I just had the stupidest revelation. Okay, so like I went on a mad rant one time about like just in general how Sothasil just appears in Somerset. Like he's just there, but like after Clockwork City, he talks about how the ball was, shit's going down in Somerset, and Devaeth Fear is like, okay, well, I'm gonna go let the Sijiks know, and then Sothasil says that's not gonna be necessary. I'll do that myself. And then he tells Devaeth Fear to basically take the key and get the fuck out of there, and then he encourages you, prisoner, to go towards Somerset and fight the oncoming Daedric threat or whatever. So I thought it was really funny because that's still he basically makes a statement saying, yeah, I'm gonna go immediately over to the Sijik Order and let them know of stuff. And it still takes about, I don't know, how many months was between Clockwork City and Somerset. I mean, it was quite a few months. I mean, it would probably be a few canonical months too. So you get to Artaeum before Sothasil even does. Even when he implied that he was gonna go there before you. And then he pulls you out, like he helps pull you out of the Sloads mine. And then just kind of has this conversation. The first word of dialogue he says is, a sea Sload. I have not dissected such a creature in an exceedingly long unit of temporal measurement. I'm already angry at that.
Why are you angry at that?
It's
Oh boy,
just
because it's
speak the human words is what he needs to do.
Use your human words, my lord.
my lord. You're becoming a robot again.
Yeah, so like he doesn't say
yes.
anything about, I'm gonna go and let Iakesis and all of them know what's happening. He just stops and dissects a sea Sload. And I just think, I was like, why did this guy just completely forgot about why he came here? And then I'm like, oh, you know what? It's because he knows that nothing's going to happen until the prisoner makes it happen.
So he's totally just allowed to do whatever.
He makes a point. He says, I notice all the gears all revolve around you.
Yeah, that's the last thing he says to you before he like pieces out. And I like how you even have to like yell at him to even help out in that scenario. It's like,
because he was totally going to leave.
Yeah, we're like, why did you come here? You're just like, because it's like he shows up and he's like, oh, hey, oh, wait, you just told him. You told him, okay, never mind. Well, I'm just going to sit here and dissect the sea Sload then.
I think that's the reason he doesn't actually help out with this nocturnal thing. Like, he's not really worried about it.
Yeah.
He's like, the prisoner's got this. Like, he's going to do it. Meanwhile, is the prisoner doing all this legwork up the tower. I'm like, if only we had a god standing around on his ass.
Yeah, and he's like, I like when he makes the mention of we need a divine artifact to
Yes. Yeah. I was like, huh? If only.
no, not even a divine artifact. He basically says like a divine power. Like it doesn't even have to be from an artifact. He goes, you're gonna need a divine power, but I'm gonna just chill out. So
I was like, if only you and then we get to Morrowind and we're like, that's what he's been doing in his spare time is pulling out parts of his own divinity and experimenting with it, then putting it back. I was like, you couldn't have just loaned us that.
And then Clavacus Val was like, huh, that's cool. I'm gonna do that to Vivek.
I don't know why you guys are so obsessed with fixing all these breaches. Linear time is so boring. In non-linear time, you could die before you're even born.
To be honest, I feel like dissecting the Seafloat would be riveting.
I don't like that it has legs.
Yeah.
Wait,
I don't like that I have legs.
Has legs?
I don't think so.
Like that.
Likes that he has legs.
The Slode have legs.
No, not the Slode. Wait, what? No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
The sea Slode.
Andrew,
yeah, they do have Slode. The Slode have legs.
Slode.
Excuse me, we'll post a picture of Slode and show that they have legs.
A regular Slode has legs. They just have a big old stomach that kind of covers it up.
They float usually.
Yeah, Mac, I posted the picture into the Google chat so you could look at it.
I didn't think they had legs.
Yeah, they have
that's
legs.
so disappointing.
They don't really,
Mac, it's just that they're so fat that they can't really walk anywhere, so they just teleport.
So the legs are just covered up by this layers of fatness.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so disappointing.
Mac, I'm very sorry to have broken this to you.
That really did. I thought they were very much Jabba the Hutt kind of thing.
Oh God, Mac, I'm so sorry.
They're not quite. Almost, but not quite.
I'm sorry.
They can waddle a little bit, and it's really cute.
I will say this: I prefer the Slode tiny legs to that sea Slode frog thing.
Well, all right, the sea Slode frog leg thing makes sense if you think about the fact that the sea Slode
underwater.
So it's just giant paddle feet. They still probably don't move that fast.
No, they come from Overcoosh, and they don't spend any time on land, so.
Does fat work the same way in TES as it does on Earth, where fat makes you float?
No.
So fat makes you sink?
Uh-uh.
What does it do then?
Fat's just fat.
It's just fat. Fat's fat.
As far as the Slode are concerned, fat is the equivalent of knowledge.
So they're weighed down by knowledge?
Weighed down, I don't know.
Are the Slode living in memory for a reason, Andrew?
What?
Are they living in memory for a reason?
Because they're reenacting what Thras did when he returned to Nern.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, I hear you chuckling.
So I just wanted to point out that in my Codeverse, the Slode becomes shell huts, which is an extremely obscure reference to a Star Wars novel. And if anybody here has heard of it, I will be extremely impressed.
Pretty sure.
Would you say the word again?
Shell hut.
I do not know what that is. Sorry.
It's in the Bounty Hunter Wars trilogy, which was not fantastic by
I didn't read that one.
K.W. Jeter. There's a group of huts who wear basically exosuits and fly. They like levitate and then they can fly and they have armaments and it's pretty fantastic. So I see that the space Slode are shell huts. And they go around.
Oh, I see shell huts. Okay. Yeah, I get it now.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm back, but I think I'm gonna go for now. Got my girlfriend's pretty drunk and she's coming home from a party, so I think I'm gonna get some things organized before the chaos ensues. But
have a good evening.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you guys, by the way.
Likewise.
As well.
Be cool to do this again. You guys do this pretty regularly.
I try to organize these once a week.
Nice. Well, I'll definitely come to the next one. And you guys have given me some inspiration for my next story I'm working on here. I think I'm going to change their names a bit too. So I've decided Anu will be Anulon or Anulan or something. Something similar, but keep it different, spice it up a bit, you know?
Cool.
So yeah, enjoy the conversation. It was nice talking to you guys, and I'll see you on the dream weave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
Well, have a good night or good morning wherever you guys are. And talk
You bet.
to
Take care.
Oh,
adios.
it's 12:30. What the heck?
Hmm.
When did that happen?
It's
Ah.
1:30 for you, isn't it, Michael?
So
For me, it's
32.
fine. For me, it's
for those-
126.
For those of you playing at home, I have been drinking from the Silver City Brewery in Seattle, Washington, the bourbon barrel aged Old Scrooge, which was quite delicious. Anything barrel aged is going to be delicious. That's a recipe for deliciousness. But usually I show what I'm drinking, and that was what I was drinking. It was delightful.
I'm just drinking watermelon juice.
Yeah, that's cool.
No,
Well, there's like the Arizona.
it's just straight up watermelon juice. Not
Really?
even like sugary. Yeah,
I've had the Arizona
that stuff's
version.
good too. But this
That's
is just regular watermelon juice. It's healthy, I guess.
Yeah, that they put high fructose corn syrup in it, and I'm like,
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about
Hey,
that.
Michael,
Yo.
your piece that you have canceled, which I didn't sanction that canceling, by the way, about Namira talking to Lorcan.
Oh, yeah.
What was the nature of their relationship in that piece? Was it parental, romantic?
It was definitely
sibling?
romantic. Give me a second.
Romantic.
Let me-
Okay.
Let me find it if I can.
We must not forget that within slow stories, the loser is whoever acts first because they didn't consider all the outcomes.
Yeah, right?
We know this is true even by history. That's why the Slodes lost the Thracian War.
Oh, they did not lose the Thracian War, or that one.
So,
They just wanted the All Flags Navy to think that they lost.
So what you're saying is the Thracian War is still going on?
Yeah, we're living in a simulation that the slow of all can.
Not really.
No, see,
They ran away, I guess.
They were driven back because they didn't consider all the possible outcomes, and an outcome they didn't consider bit them in the butt. The
They
big
probably-
flabby butt.
they never considered that all the races would unite against them.
Yeah.
So they went under the ocean where they couldn't get them. Like
They never considered some random guy named Bendu Olo would lead
Sounds
the
like
charge.
a Star Wars.
the All
guy.
Flags Navy assumed they won, so they fucked off. Like
Wait, Bill, what'd you say about Bendu Olo?
He always sounds like a Star Wars name to me.
Doesn't it, though?
It's very
If I
Star Wars.
recall, I'm pretty sure Bendu Olo is just a random name they chose to be like the default name of the character.
I know, but it's like it's such a
But
Star
it
Wars
is-
name to me. Like,
It is really dumb.
Okay, so this is from a piece I wrote ages ago called "The Fall," and it talks about Lorcan falling to Nirn and losing his divinity and learning how to be immortal. Which I will not read the whole thing, but this is the relevant part. "You must not tarry long," came a voice at his side. He could not see her, not like he had before. She was a shadow, a whisper of a forgotten and yet remembered first cause. They had known each other before, and some part of him knew her still. It would be long cycles before he would create language that could describe her beauty. And this is my first mistake because I make it nocturnal and not Namira. Nocturnal touched his face. "They will come for you, my love. They will punish you for what you have done. I've given them so much," he told her. "I would give them all if only they would know the joy that I know." The darkness of her lips brushed his face. "They cannot see it. They are in pain, so much pain that they cannot know the gift, the invitation you have given them." She stood back where he could see her, resplendent in her longing and emptiness. Return to me, my love. Am I not in your heart? Lorcan took her in his arms and shed his first tears. You are and ever shall be the heart of my heart. But this world is mine and I am the world's. We are bound in unity and belief. He held her face in his hands. Can you not come to me? Will you not stay? Nocturnal slipped from his grasp, fingers trailing along his arm. You are the heart of my heart, but as you are this world, so I am the void, and it is me. I cannot come down to you. Her form flickered like a memory of smoke. In all the cycles of the world, should a time come when the world no longer holds you in belief and unity, remember me. And she was gone. Lorcan felt her image play across his mind in his first experience of loss and grief. It would not be his last.
I like how you described her as the memory of smoke.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
They will be reunited again, though, in the uttermost end. In my interpretation, anyway.
Yeah, I like.
God damn it! You just said the uttermost end.
I just need
to
change it to Namira. I just need to change it to Namira instead of Nocturnal.
And then publish it. Put it on the Telmora, where we can access it.
Oh, that was published on the old Bethesda forums back in 2014.
Well, we need a link or something then, sometime, please.
Oh boy. Okay, I'll do that tomorrow.
You had said the uttermost end, and now I'm reminded of the hilarious idea my friend Chandler and I had. The idea being that the very last Elder Scrolls game, the plot will be that you team up with Jiglag to fuck over everyone.
When I say the uttermost end, I mean the true end. Like entropy wins. Entropy always wins in the end.
Watch Entropy not win because Bethesda doesn't quite understand their own concepts.
Well, what I mean by that is while a new dream might get born and all that, this current dream is bound by entropy. So it will end, I think. Plus, I just will not have Namira lose.
So you're saying that you refuse to let Namira lose?
Yeah.
I think it depends on how you understand Namira.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, me and Jonathan were back and forth a little bit on that the other day. Yesterday.
I realized something.
Yeah?
When we were talking earlier about the whole concept of like family skill in Altmer society, and it's just like, oh, this other family is more skilled with axes than you are, so we don't care about you.
In a sense I wouldn't say like that they are actually more skilled, but the Altmer would perceive that they are more skilled because they have more years.
They have more years of experience total. That got me thinking of something. I feel like there's a limit to that. And the reason I say that is because I can guarantee like Matissan steel is some of the finest steel you can get. But I have this distinct feeling that there's absolutely more than one family of blacksmiths in Matissan. There may be like 3 or 4 families. Yeah. And they might have different levels of what ancestor far back started doing blacksmithing. But because they're beyond 2 or 3 generations, they're respected. It could be a matter of they don't care about they don't care if your father is the one who started. They don't care about it if your father started the tradition. They do care about it if your grandfather started the tradition. Because that's further wisdom.
Michael, what I may do is just scroll the hell through your Facebook until I find like 2 months ago where you posted it.
Did I post it?
That's how I know about it at all, because you had it on Facebook.
Oh wow, it must have been a memory. It's actually I took it and I actually reworked it, and it is the very ending of Requiem, the sequel to a Khajiit Coda.
Would I be horribly judged? Sorry, would I be horribly judged if I Uber Eats some Taco Bell right now?
If you what it?
What time is it?
Uber Eats sometime. It's 10:30.
I wouldn't judge you.
I wouldn't judge.
I wouldn't judge you,
about the person who would deliver would judge you?
Because that just sounds like a great idea right now.
What is Uber Eats?
Order food from restaurants that don't have delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you send an Uber to go pick it up?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
And you pay like a $4 fee or whatever.
Yeah, it's
That's
not bad.
worth
It's
it.
like, yeah.
Look, man, if I want to get some food from Imperial Chinese, but I don't want to go over there, I could just order it.
I don't know why they include pizza places. Like the pizza places already have delivery. Like it'd be cheaper for me to just go to their website and buy
And
it.
order. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Huh.
Behold the first Lorecast where we're talking about Uber Eats live.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
I think I'm going to follow some other people's lead. I think it's time for me to head out. It is going on 12:40 here.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be heading out here shortly.
I think I've finally gotten to the point to where I can color this damn thing.
Oh boy. It does look nice.
Well,
That
thank
wonderful
you. I'll zoom
robot
out of it.
arm.
Yeah, robot arms. I hate this thing.
I'll see you all later. Night.
See you
care.
back.
Burrito. Sweet pork burrito, choice of substitute, chicken or pork. It's already a pork burrito. Why would I want to get pork as a substitute for an extra $1.20?
Alternate pork.
And I like
The alternate pork is boar.
a different pig or something.
It's boar. It's wild boar instead of pig.
All right, friends, I'm gonna head out. Take care.
Oh.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I didn't finish all my Ritz today because
No, I don't
Just
want the
didn't feel like it.
meal. I just want the burrito.
does it limit you to like a certain amount that you can? Oh, I mean, like a certain minimum that you can get.
Nah.
Maybe?
So I can get like Dr. Pepper, but that has. Okay, well, I guess if I have
God
to,
bless.
fine. I'll get Bang's root beer. I don't know what Bang's is, but
Do you mean Barks?
nope, it says Bang's. BANG''S. Bang's root beer. No idea what it is. Hey,
Have you ever been to a Taco Bell cabana? It's a real thing.
yeah, I'm just gonna present me to everyone.
Yeah.
Cabana?
Oh god, wait, hold on. Hold on. Can you see an image for the Bang's root beer?
No.
Like, could you see a logo for it? Was it gray in the background?
No, they did not. They just gave me a name. Images. There's Bang. The energy drink. I think maybe they just. Oh, yeah. Someone's a fucking idiot.
Someone can't read cursive.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's just Barks and someone misread it.
Oh my god! I hate my society. I hate my species.
I don't want to live on this planet
What
anymore.
is my gradient doing?
That
That's
is
not,
not
a gradient.
Bangs.
This is not
Belle,
a
what the
gradient.
hell is your gradient doing?
That's not a great. Oh, I have the wrong thing. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Right? Hey,
I was like, what? This
okay.
is not right.
Andrew, were you able to see that?
Yes, I was able to see that.
It was great.
It's like that's not a gradient.
Oh, that is so disappointing. Whoever is in charge of Uber Eats. Oh my god. I feel like this is like a conspiracy theory of illiteracy. I teach fucking English. I'm insulted.
I don't like the blue.
What are you gonna do? Make your students do a essay about Moby Dick and the dangers of the whaling
No.
industry?
My student teaching was in middle school. I couldn't get them to read Moby Dick if I fucking tried. Half the kids don't know how to fucking write a sentence, and it's frustrating.
Jeez. I remember it was probably just about 5 or so years ago in my sophomore year of high school. Or no, not my sophomore year, my junior year. There was like 2 kids that were in my class, Marcus and Jesus, and they would they never wanted to read at all, and their argument would always be, "I don't know how to read." And
I
we would
don't
just
know how to read.
yeah, and we would just look at them and say that's bullshit because you're a junior in high school. You have had to read in the
That
past to get
sounds
to
like bullshit to me.
It also reminds me that my sophomore year of high school, I got really pissed off at my English teacher because she was being super petty with me just because I was well beyond what she expects. Like, I was well beyond everyone else in the class, and she would just be really upset by this and take it out on me. And finally, one day when I was off my ADHD meds, I snapped and I threatened her and I threw a desk against a wall. And I ended up getting moved out. Here's the thing: I got moved out of her class and put into Coach Salerno's class. Now, it's worth pointing out, at my high school, there were plenty of coaches who were teachers first and coaches second. Like fucking Coach Morris in my senior year, he just started working there the year before, but he started off as just an English teacher. And they were like, "Hey, do you also want to coach golf and get some extra money?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." But Coach Salerno, like, he got the records of my grades from the previous class, and I could tell just by like looking at him that he was like, "Okay, this kid probably has some trouble writing, probably has some trouble formulating paragraphs and coming up with theses." And then he read the first paper I wrote in his class. He was like, "Wait, what the hell's going on? The hell's happening?" No, that teacher just didn't like you. It also led to a wonderful thing of Coach Leonard also taught AP English. So the English students for sophomore year had to read The Hunger Games. But he told us, "All right, listen, all of you who are currently making an A, I will give you 2 options. You can either read The Hunger Games with us, or I will give you a copy of 1984 and you can go read it in the hallway. And all your tests will be about 1984 and not The Hunger Games." And I went with 1984, and it was the best choice I ever made.
1984 is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more partial to a little more classic literature. I like Dracula and
oh man, I remembered something about Dracula recently that I thought was really funny because Sam and I were talking about it, and he brought up like, vampires and Tess. How come we don't have to pierce them through the heart with a wooden stake if Tess just has like so much drawn from real world mythology?
Because Christianity isn't a thing.
Yeah. Well, first off that, and second, I said, Sam, do you know how exactly they killed Dracula in the book? Well, they pierce his heart with a wooden stake. No, they pierce his heart with a knife.
Yeah.
Like it was just a regular knife.
Dracula is kind of a special case.
It's a special knife. When you stick it in people, it kills them.
Yeah, it's great. It's beautiful power. But I just thought it was really funny because it just reminded me. Yeah, no, as far as Bram Stoker's Dracula is concerned, to kill a vampire, you just kill them the same way you would kill a normal person. I think that's really funny because, like, you have stories of werewolves where you specifically need silver in order to kill them, but then there's vampires. Nah, just use whatever. What does it? If it kills a human, it'll kill a vampire. There.
Yeah, of course. That's supposed to be gold or brass, not yellow.
It's oversaturated gold.
Well, the thing is I'm working on a new tablet now, and it's a Cintiq, so it's cool because I can just hold it in my lap and just draw on it. But the colors on my Cintiq are not that good. Like, they don't match up that well. So I've been using the preview that I have for the stream as to double check, which I can just cut. I can get like a little cutout or something that'll also work. But at least now I can just sort of mess with that. And
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Let's
I can
make
just
closer.
like mess with the color settings, and then I'm gonna take that off.
You ever stream on like Twitch or anything?
I used to.
Used to.
Yeah, I used to do this like as a full-time thing, and then I'm just like, having a part-time job makes more money, or a full-time job doing something else.
I feel it. And then there's me. I got 8,000 fucking hobbies, and I refuse to be paid for any of them, and then I don't have a job.
Yeah, I have full-time job, or it just seems to take up all my life, and then I have all my hobbies as well, and I'm like, do I need to sleep? I wish I didn't have to sleep, because then that way I would do all my things that I like doing.
Oh, tell me about it. Sleep is such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is.
My sleep is sacred to me because I'm an insomniac.
Yeah,
and so, I already lose out on a bunch of sleep, so any sleep I can get is precious.
I have transient insomnia where sometimes it'll be pretty regular, and then other times it'll just be like, can't sleep ever. Like I had one night, like a couple nights ago, where I just did not sleep the entire night. Like I was laying down, just staring at the wall or staring at the ceiling. Like, yep, this is how it is. This is how it's gonna be. I have a very lenient job though, so I just called in. I was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna come in at 4." I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, god damn it. I just found a great picture.
It's really funny. Like, ever since I started modding the TES Lore subreddit, people argue with me so much more now.
Over what?
Everything.
They
see the Elder Council flare I have on my account, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna argue with you because I know more than you." It's like
I think they're challenging you for turf, even though it doesn't work that way.
They're challenging you for turf that you don't care about.
Prince of Plot's the main mod. He's like the admin of the subreddit. He said the other day, he was like, "Yeah, the White Guar knows a bunch more about lore than I do."
Well, he probably perceives you to know more about lore than he does.
Yeah. I don't know.
There is the potential that he's right.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, it's just the whole thing of they're challenging you for turf that you yourself already don't care about.
Yeah, like I'm super not interested in Reddit. I've ever since I was made a mod, I spend more time on Reddit now than I ever did in the past. I was there as I drop in and I chime in. Like that's what I would do. Oh, new issue of the Talmora, here you go. Like I really didn't care. And now that I have a stake in what happens on the subreddit, like now I'm a little more active, and I don't know, I have to avoid the Elder Scrolls subreddit because people on there are fucking idiots.
Yeah, I never made a Reddit for that reason. I mainly I lurked a lot.
I think the only thing I've ever used my Reddit for has been first off, messaging Zokonum and desperately hoping that one day he messages me back because he made the greatest video ever and it got taken down and there's no copy of it anywhere. So I'm desperately hoping that he has a copy that he can send to me and then I can send to people. Because I kid you not, it is a video from 2015. Like in the second half of my senior years when I first saw it. It was a video called Chim. And it is the very moment, it is a 3D anime video, the very moment in which Vivek achieves Chim. and he's just floating there, meditating. The camera is zooming in, swirling around, goes into his head. Then suddenly Vivek is floating out in space as incredible rock music is playing, and Fargoth's head is just in the background, and it just goes yarg as fire blows around it. And it was beautiful.
Yeah,
and I
that's
don't
what
think I'll
happened.
ever get to see it again. It makes me very sad that I never downloaded it back when it was up.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Like,
Yeah, I know I didn't make it up because I even tried using the Wayback Machine to go find it, and I found it. Unfortunately, because the video's been taken down, the Wayback Machine can't show me it.
oh, that sucks.
It's funny because I can go through like the ban list. If I look up Kirkbride,
Oh yeah, isn't he banned from the TES Lore subreddit?
Yeah,
Tesla subreddit, because he
he told a guy to go fuck himself, and then
well,
Yeah.
no, I guess having talked to the other mods, so people would try to troll him, and they would just say like nasty shit about him, and so he made it like his life's mission to troll them, and he was like, "This isn't getting anyone anywhere," so he asked the moderating team, "Please ban me because this is just not gonna stop if you don't." So the
I
mods
didn't know that. I didn't know he asked for it.
yeah, so the mods were like, okay, that was 3 years ago. And
Yeah, that was.
the reason cited is rule number 1, be civil and respectful.
Oh boy.
It's just funny.
Yeah, and then he made the post on Tumblr. I remember that with the dick mite.
Yeah, I never saw that.
Gosh. Oh yeah, he made a post on Tumblr with the guy that was critiquing Coda at the time, and he drew his player character, and it was a dick mite because they were doing a giveaway on Tumblr at the time, him and Daria, and that was also kind of like the downfall of Kirkbride on Tumblr as well. Like that was kind
Yeah.
of like when everything when all the shit at once on Reddit and on Tumblr on everywhere just hit the fan.
Well, I know, I
It
mean,
was messy.
MK is human like everyone, and he's got a bit of a temper, and
Yeah. I
yeah.
don't condone what he's said and some of the things he's done, but I'm not gonna like bastardize him or demonize
Oh
him.
no, I mean, he's a human being. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. I've had people talk shit about me in the past too. Like I 100% get it.
Yeah.
You know, I know that he doesn't handle negative criticism super well.
No, not really, but it's not a lot of people don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Like, you should have seen me in my student teaching. I was a hot mess. I got people telling me I'm doing shit wrong like all the time.
Yeah, I can't handle criticism that well either. That's why I don't say anything.
See,
I
this
just
is
shut
why
up all the time.
this is why I'm glad that I ended up my last semester at my local college, when the semester where I got my associates. My 2 classes were photography 2. I never did photography 1, by the way. I just skipped straight to photography 2 because I already knew what I was doing.
I can press the button. I can aim it.
I can aim it. I understand all this. But I did photography 2 and I did graphic design, wherein in both of those, critique days were a very common thing because you did that for all your projects. So it at least helps with understanding how to accept critique.
I remember we had those too, and I would just like I'd just be like, yeah, that's fair, but like inside I would be like, they're so stupid, they're so wrong. Like that was just my internal dialogue was like,
see, that's the thing. My internal dialogue was never they're stupid, they're wrong, I'm right. It was always, oh god, I'm a mess up.
Yeah, that too. But I was just like, that was how I was like dealing with it. Where I was like, they don't know anything. Like,
I know everything.
I think that's also why I become like such a multifaceted person, is because once I start to learn something enough, I don't want to become like too professional or too good at it, because I don't want to have to face like the realm where you become, when you start to become more professional, and then people, you know, like look at your art or your creations in a different light. I never really wanted to get into that, because it was like there's a certain point where you can't use the excuse, oh, I just, you know, dabble in this, or I'm just an amateur. It's a very unhealthy and unproductive lifestyle, but you know, it's all for the avoidance of critique.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand that. But it's like, yeah, I'm friends with a lot of people on Tumblr too, and I kind of like, I understand where everyone comes from in this, but I just remember that whole like, it was about 3 years ago when all that happened, and everyone just kind of sighs and became more
I totally forgot about my Uber Eats.
Oh, did you order it, or
Oh yeah, no, I ordered it, and then I looked at
nice.
the time it was supposed to be here, and it was like now.
Now?
Oh.
I was like, oh shit! I ran outside. Mexican tots.
Boy.
There we go.
Good old Taco Bell. It's Taco Bell.
It's
It's actually not Taco Bell. I couldn't find them on the site.
Oh, what'd you get?
Taco Time, which is the local alternative.
What the heck?
It's a lot more better for you, I guess. A little less hyper commercialized.
Oh, the white. Okay.
Yep, that would be Barks. Bangs. Fuck.
So by the way, I got Lane's today. It's a chicken. It's an alternative to Cane's. It's a local alternative that's been around longer than Raising Cane's.
I love Cane's, but every time I eat there, I get heartburn.
Well, here's the thing. Lane's has probably